Hello, I'm Don Mitchell. Welcome back to your breakthroughs. I'm looking forward to sharing this third part of the book with you. Thanks for sticking with me so far as we explored the first two parts. The third part is very interesting. It's a very powerful step forward in terms of accomplishing a great deal more. It's called discussing the ways to implement and develop complementary 2000% solutions. The topic of our last part, of course, was individual 2000% solutions. Let me begin by quoting from the book of Luke, chapter 5, verse 36 in the New King James Version. And he spoke a parable to them. No one puts a piece from a new garment on an old one. Otherwise, the new makes a tear. And also, the piece that was taken out of the new does not match the old. In this verse, Jesus was teaching through this parable that when we have fruitful opportunities, we need to engage in them with a new approach that reflects Him. In this part of your breakthroughs, we consider an extraordinarily effective way to be more fruitful for God's kingdom. Be prepared to leave behind your old thinking as you do. Let's start by asking a new question. What if 2000% solutions could have multiplier effects on the size of benefits from other 2000% solutions? Multiplying exponential improvements by developing complementary solutions that efficiently enhance each other's results provides the most feasible approach for everyone to enjoy 400 years worth of normal improvements in the next 20 years. If you're like most people, you haven't yet crafted your first 2000% solution, you won't get much benefit from this insight into multiplying exponential improvements until you do. By answering and acting on your answers to the questions in the 2000% solution, the 2000% solution workbook, the 2000% squared solution, business basics, advanced business for innovation, advanced business for social benefits, you'll be able to develop as many 2000% solutions as you like. Once you have become skilled and have enjoyed this experience, you'll begin to appreciate how critical your choice of improvements is for determining the magnitude of your accomplishments. If you haven't yet produced a 2000% solution, let me encourage you to do so by noting that the project's experience has been to find 2000% solutions in a wide range of human endeavors. These experiences suggest that the possibilities for such improvements are virtually universal. Reread the latter parts of the introduction to part 2, or listen to it again on the video to appreciate why I say so. When developing such solutions, what improvements should we concentrate on? That's a major focus of this part of your breakthroughs. The answer we found is simple yet profound. Start first by developing organizations, both for-profit and non-profit, to do their work in astonishingly effective ways by using the 2000% solution process. That's a key direction because the most important improvements usually have to be accomplished by organizations rather than by individuals working alone. Why? Almost all important tasks require the efforts of several people. Also, if people learned how to make these improvements to organizations, such learning would frequently provide the guidance they needed to make enormous progress as individuals as well. To make the concepts for what to do easier to follow in the rest of this Part 3 introduction, I focused on the right combinations of exponential improvements to multiply for-profit companies that are initially constrained by lack of growth opportunities. What if you are totally disconnected from all organizations? You might find it valuable to become involved with at least one organization while you're learning to make exponential improvements. If that's not possible, think about what improvements you can make that would be helpful to you now and to organizations later. Businesses lacking growth opportunities have three basic choices for overcoming that deficiency. First, expand the market's growth rate. Second, gain market share. Third, enter faster growing markets. Most businesses focus on the third opportunity. A few will try to do a little with the second opportunity. Hardly anyone will work aggressively on the first one. Typically, the most fruitful results, however, come from working in a different way by first greatly increasing the value of what customers and end users receive from whatever costs and time, effort, and resources they incur to obtain and use offerings. When such an improvement happens, the market expands, as does a company's market share. Naturally, if value improvements are so helpful to a business, it would also be great to reduce costs to provide more ways to add value while still increasing profits. Thus, finding ways to drop the cost of providing an offering by 96% becomes an extremely useful complementary solution, multiplying the benefit of 20 times more revenues by such lower cost to enhance profits by 400 times. My mother had an expression she liked to use to explain why small businesses don't become bigger ones. As she rubbed her thumb and first two fingers together, she would say, "It takes money." What good does it do us to know how to become 400 times more profitable if then we cannot afford the expansion needed to create and build on that result to improve cash flow by 8,000 times? What's the solution? I think it's to improve an organization's effective use of its invested money by 20 times. I define that improvement as increasing capital turnover by 20 times. What's that? Let me explain. Capital turnover is a ratio of annual revenue, some people call this sales, dollars, divided by how many investment dollars are needed to produce the offerings for those revenues. Here's an example. A hypothetical mine requires $16 million to be dug and developed before any ore can be taken out of it. While the mine is being developed, the capital turnover ratio is 0 because millions are being spent and there are no revenues. 0 divided by 16. After development, the mine generates $4 million in ore that is sold each year. The capital turnover then would be 0.25, 4 divided by 16. In contrast, a typical distribution operation looks a lot different from a mining operation in its capital turnover. A sales level of $4 million might be supported by as little as $120,000 in capital. The capital turnover of such a business is 33.33, 4.0 divided by 0.12. Why does the distribution business need so little capital? If the distribution business operates smoothly, it's paid by its customers before it has to pay its suppliers. The float, a continuing flow of cash received that doesn't yet have to be paid, helps offset whatever capital is required for warehouse space and trucks. Some manufacturers achieve similar levels of efficiency by getting paid when orders are placed, keeping working capital and facilities needs to a minimum. Dell is a good example. That company's sparing use of cash to generate sales and profits allowed a multi-billion-dollar firm to rapidly emerge from Michael Dell's dorm room at the University of Texas by drawing almost totally on its own cash flow rather than by adding external capital. So why is a 2,000% solution for using less capital to generate sales a good thing? It means you won't have to invest any more money than you already have in place to grow by another 20 times after having increased by 20 times earlier. Does that sound good? When you reduce your capital intensity by this amount, your cash flow will expand by 8,000 times. Surely you don't want to stop at a gain of mere 8,000 times more benefits. Wouldn't having 160,000 times more benefits be even better? To do so, let's reduce the cost of acquiring the initial and subsequent capital for your business by at least 96%. That solution will vastly increase the rate of return you'll earn on your capital, expand the amount of capital you can access, and boost the capital you can afford to spend for other purposes. As a low-cost way to access capital, most companies fail to consider how they might turn customers and suppliers into low-cost sources of capital. Here's an example. An accounting firm might offer to hold its prices for 2 years for clients who are willing to pay annual retainers in advance. The accounting firm should do this if it can invest the unused retainer amounts to earn more than the cost of any foregone fee increases or to reduce debts and incur high interest and fee costs. Why would clients want to do that? Many clients prefer the certainty of keeping expenses under control to the uncertainties of earning what near-term interest rates might provide. This 160,000 times benefit improvement level has another significant dimension. Multiply these 4, sales increase, cost decrease, asset reduction, and lower cost of capital, complementary 2,000% solutions, and you've created the equivalent of 400 years of normal improvements, assuming productivity gains of 3% a year for 400 years. That's pretty wonderful, don't you think? But that's not all. Benefits can reach into millions of times the current levels. When that happens, it's like gaining the benefits of 8,000 years over 100 lifetimes worth of normal improvements. I don't know about you, but that prospect is pretty exciting to me. What benefits am I talking about? While there are a number of complementary benefits that can be added, I suggest you now turn your attention to increase the total benefits received by stakeholders, or customers or shareholders, such as end users, suppliers, lenders, distributors, employees, families of employees, and the communities in which you operate to become at least 20 times more than what shareholders and customers gain. Why? Adding benefits for these people will help you sustain your success longer and give you a better foundation for new generations of 2000% solutions. You can also learn how to do this in advanced business. Chances are this dimension for possible 2000% solutions is new to you. Let me develop the concept so it's more clear. As a first step, consider who else can be helped and what might be done for these other stakeholders. Organizations affect those who are the end users of their offerings, even when those end users aren't actually customers. How can an end user be different from a customer? Here's an example. Hospitals purchase baby formula for mothers who aren't nursing to use for their newborns. The babies are the end users rather than the hospital customer. After moms and babies go home, the supermarket or discount merchandiser will be the customer, but the end user will still be that baby. Provide a better mix of nutrients than the baby formula that anyone else has ever developed, and the baby is making invaluable lifelong advantages in physical, mental, and immune system developments. Those benefits, in turn, can continue to help the whole community for decades. The company will also directly benefit if it becomes known that the babies are thriving better on these nutrients. Most people will want to buy its offerings. Suppliers are impacted by factors such as how much profit they can gain from serving an account, the reputation they enjoy because of working with a given customer, skills they develop to translate into other opportunities, and if your improvements expand by how much profitable business they do, suppliers will greatly benefit as well. You'll then repeat this thinking process for all other stakeholders, including customers, distributors, employees, families, lenders, lessors, partners, owners, neighbors, and the communities in which the company operates, always seeking solutions that greatly expand benefits for all stakeholders. Having expanded all such benefits for stakeholders by 20 times more than the 20 times that the owners receive, the total gain in benefits has now reached at least 3.2 million times. Where do we go to gain 64 million times more benefits? I suggest we strive to increase innovation in your company and in the industry. To do so, should encourage copying. Isn't it great that people are such wonderful copycats? The virtually universal instinct can be relied on to help us create another 20 times boost in benefits and increase the number of people who apply the same improvements as do the most successful creators of benefit multiplying 2000% solutions. Many people will be aghast at this suggestion. Why make it easier for others to copy you? Isn't it better to keep your best methods a secret? Well, that's not always the case. In many instances, an industry is being held back by the unprofessional way that some competitors operate. Improve the choices for customers, and more people will be willing to buy from an industry. An unexpected benefit of giving away such valuable knowledge is to light a permanent fire under the company's own operations to improve. These added improvements will, in turn, speed growth and provide for even more multiplied benefits. In most cases, there's not much to worry about concerning competitive advantages because organizations will be teaching management processes rather than revealing details of proprietary knowledge that's unique to their most valuable offerings. You can learn more about how to do so and gain more benefits by reading and applying Advanced Business for Innovation. Isn't it fun to start thinking about creating over 1 billion times more benefits? Where shall we look next for a complementary 2000% solution to gain such a result? I know. Let's poke at some of those areas that economists like to complain no one pays attention to. What do I mean? Well, here's another example. The tragedy of the commons is a problem familiar to economists. Provide something for free to everyone, and the privilege will be abused until the common resource all but disappears. Such a problem today is the rapidly shrinking stock of fish in the world's oceans. Each fisherman makes the most by taking as many fish as possible until there are few fish left of a given species. Fishermen then move on to another species, reducing the global food supply as fish stocks remain permanently depressed below what the oceans could support. In studying these problems, scholars are usually quick to point out that while solving these problems has great value for everyone, there's not enough profit potential to encourage any individual or organization to be responsible for seeking the general good. I have a little secret for you. Those scholars apparently don't know about 2000% solutions. Centuries of pollution and waste have left the world filled with valuable opportunities to fix messes. A simple example can be found in many new mining operations that don't dig up any ore at all. They simply reprocess the piles of tailings left over from earlier ores that were processed for a different mineral. Profitably working on this solution is explained in detail by Advanced Business for Social Benefits. Why is providing this kind of benefit a good idea when you aren't directly helping your own customers? Let me partially explain by beginning with an economist's argument. If you make a profit by reducing global economic costs by 20 times, your increased profits from this new activity, you've just expanded purchasing power that benefits everyone. Undoubtedly, some of the increased funds will flow back to your organization in the form of increased purchases. There's also a terrific preference for doing business with companies that reduce harmful pollution and solve other expensive social problems. More customers will seek you as a result. For companies that directly serve consumers, that preference will be enough to turn you into an industry leader. In addition, such companies have a much greater ability to attract top talent. Many people would like to work as employees for, be partners with, invest in, or be suppliers of those who are making important improvements. Many idealistic young people will be only drawn to larger companies for this reason, knowing that smaller organizations have potentially less impact when dealing with similar kinds of issues. Naturally, there's individual self-interest in providing such benefits as well. Do you want to suffer some disease because others have done a poor job of containing harmful materials? I'm sure the answer to this question is no. So it helps you personally create over 1 billion times more benefits in these ways. You can also expand combined benefits by over 25 billion times by another complementary 2,000% solution. Consider that most of the world's people are desperately poor. The lack of resources leads to permanent problems. Some babies don't properly develop their brains for lack of a few $100s in nutrients. Lives are ravaged by diseases that are preventable with clean water, inexpensive vaccines, and easy to make medicines. Hundreds of millions of people with above average intellect never receive enough education to develop their minds anywhere near their full potential. Entrepreneurs capable of leading thousands to economically useful lives lack the investment capital to train and employ those thousands. What's the root of the problem? Well, it takes a long time and much investment in people or individuals can earn or keep and support others. Shortchanging the most valuable parts of that time and investment, and the value of the lost potential is an enormous multiple of the resources that aren't expended in the near term. Here's an example of what can be done. Research conducted by my students in Africa has shown there are millions of partially able entrepreneurs who can become leaders in creating enormous economic and social progress. How could this potential be turned into a happy result? By establishing a new type of entrepreneurship, enterprises that will profitably employ hundreds of millions of people who now have few prospects of earning much of a living. Adventures of an Optimist explores many ways to do so. Is that it for expanding benefits? I don't think so, but I fear that I may have reached the limit of your patience with an interest in multiplying my optimistic thinking into creating more benefits now than would normally occur in the next 1,000 years. You can read more of my ideas for multiplying benefits if you want in Adventures of an Optimist. Are you feeling more confident about making 400 years of normal progress in only 20 years? I hope so. It's not that difficult a goal if enough people are sincerely interested in accomplishing more with their God-given potential. The key to appreciating the potential for this rapid progress is to realize that no new knowledge or technologies need be developed. You just need to make better use of the time and resources you already have. Having just explored a possible improvement path for a for-profit company that needs more growth opportunities, I'm sure you'll enjoy the change of pace in Lesson 8, where we shift to looking at how nonprofit organizations should sequence the development of their complementary 2,000% solutions. So thanks for your attention. I hope you're as excited hearing this video as I am to read it to you. And thank you so much for your interest in the 400-year project and hopefully for your future efforts in making it come true where you are and your loved ones are. In the meantime, may God bless you, your family, and all you do in the name of Jesus. Take care.